welcome to Mrs. Sebastian's classroom again. And welcome, and I hope you enjoy today's learning adventure. So, as part of my Origami week here at school, I like to do kind of scary animals. And today we're going to be talking about wolves. And for fun, I've called them howling werewolf finger puppet origamis, but they can just be wolf heads too. And we have some interesting facts about wolves to tell you today as well. And who doesn't love a good canine? Miss Sebastian loves canines. She has two little dogs that are just got a special place in her heart, and I hope that you enjoy today's lesson.
So wolves are known as a keystone species, and they're also apex predators. Apex predators are going to be animals that do the hunting, but nothing really hunts them for food. Also, they're keystone animals because they do a lot to keep their environment healthy for all animals. For example, when they hunt herding animals, they force the herds to move so the herds don't eat all the grass and destroy the ecosystem. Wolves have a lot of really interesting characteristics. Their outer coat is very coarse, really helps to repel water if it rains or snows. And then they have this very fuzzy, soft undercoat that keeps them warm when it's cold outside. Their ears, they can hear things up to 6 miles away. And as far as their legs go, hey, they can run almost up to 45 miles per hour across short distances. And their claws, well, they have something that they share with dogs. They have something called a dew claw. It's like a claw that's further up on the leg. It's kind of left over from their ancestry. So the average weight for wolves, females are a bit lighter than males, ranging from 60 to 80 pounds, and the males are 70 up to 110 pounds. The average height is 26 to 32 inches, but that's at the shoulder. So you're going to have to estimate in more height if they're holding their head up. So they have 42 teeth, and in the wild, they can live 6 to 8 years, but possibly up to 13. And in captivity, they can live up to 16 years. And this is comparable to the canines we know and love, dogs. So their main threats to survival include people and loss of habitat. So typically, wolves travel in packs, that's groups of them. The average pack size is 5 to 8, but it could be as little as 2 or up to even 30. And their territory really varies by location and pack. In Minnesota, for example, it usually is 25 to 150 square miles. But in Alaska and Canada, it could be anywhere from 300 to 1,000 square miles. So one last interesting side note is after the dogs are brought up with their immediate family for the first 8 weeks of their life, they're then introduced to the rest of the pack in what we call a rendezvous site. There they're able to meet other pups and other wolves and start learning their survival skills that they'll need. And this is something they have in common with our beloved pets, dogs. They are very social animals, just like our dogs are.
All right, things that you'll need for this lesson include maybe a pencil or markers if you want to decorate yours. You'll need a piece of origami paper. And if you don't have your own origami paper, check out the video on my YouTube page that shows you how to make your own. Remember, origami paper traditionally is square and it's white on one side and colored on the other. And of course, you're going to be using your fingers and imagination. All right, for our first step, we're going to take our piece of square origami paper and we are going to go ahead and turn it to the white side. All right, next, we're going to be folding this in half. We're going to take this top edge, line it up with the bottom edge, so we get a crease in the middle. Go ahead and do this step now. Just like anytime we do origami, if you're looking to make that really nice, clean, sharp fold, line up both edges of your paper. Hold it down with one hand and then use your other hand to crease it down. If your fingers ever hurt you, hey, all you need to do is grab a pencil and you can use that to make your sharp crease too. Step 1 is folding it in half. All right, step number 2 is going ahead and taking it, and we're gonna fold this in half. This time though, we're gonna fold it left to right. So we're gonna take this left edge, make it even with the right edge, and so that we have a crease down the middle. Origami is a bit like rocket science. Creases that you do now will greatly affect it further into the folding process. Just like if you make a mistake with the rocket science, it's going to cause the rocket to explode later on when you try to launch it. So again, this last step is just folding it in half. All right, so now we're going to open this last fold back up. It'll look like we have 2 squares and there's a crease down the middle. Our next step is going to be taking the left and right edges, and we're going to fold them inward so that they line up with the crease down the middle. So watch me as I do this first one. I'm going to take the right side and I am simply going to fold it over so it meets that crease in the middle, just like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the left side. So go ahead and do those 2 folds now. We've got some great symmetry going here. The left and the right edges should just meet in the middle when they're folded together. All right, sometimes we do creases that will help us in the future folds. So those were actually helping folds. What we're gonna do now is watch carefully. I'm gonna take my finger and I'm gonna put it inside this top flap on the right-hand side. See how it has this little pocket here? So I like to say a little rhyme to kind of go in there. So my finger is like a conductor, let him travel on the track until he wears a little hat. So you're just bringing your finger all the way up that crease so it really fluffs it open here. And when you fold this part down, we want to see a nice right triangle, and then the crease that is located right here down the middle of the colored part of your paper should line up with the crease that you can see in the white part of the paper. And then fold it down. If you missed that, no worries. I'm going to show it again a couple more times. So I just put my finger in the flap, let him travel on the little track until he wears his party hat. And then you can just crease that part down. Yours should look like mine. If you liked it on that side, get ready. We're going to do it on the other side now. Put your finger in the flap, travel up the little track until he wears a little hat, and then go ahead and crease it down. All right, yours should look like mine. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to fold part of this to the back. So this part here that we have on this side of the fold, the right-hand side, this part right here, we're going to fold that to the back. So here's what it looks like. We just take that and fold it so it's straight back like so. And then because we love symmetry, we're going to do it with this side too. So just take this part here and just fold that part to the back. Now it looks like we have 3 colored triangles, one big one and 2 smaller ones, and then it looks like we have 2 squares that are white. Does yours look like mine? All right, this next crease that we're going to do is one of the harder ones for kids. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to take this bottom right flap and we're going to fold it up at an angle. So what angle is it going to look like? Basically, where this dashed line is, we're going to be folding along that line so that the crease will incorporate this part here and this part here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. Just watch me this first time. Sometimes watching it clicks with you. So I'm just going to fold up this top part here and do this diagonal fold so that the fold begins here on the right-hand side and then it ends on the opposite side at the corner. So this is what it looks like. Yeah, when you fold it down, it will be slightly folded on this side too, and that is a-okay. Try to go all the way across from opposite corners on that white field. Does yours look like mine? You know, we love symmetry, so guess what we're going to do? We're not going to flip it over, but instead, watch how I'm going to do this. Just like with that previous step when we folded something to the back, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to take this one here and fold it so it matches that crease on the front we just did. I just tuck that right to the back so it matches it. If you want to see what it looks like flipped over, it looks like this. Again, I just took this flap here and I just folded it up to the back. All right, take a look at mine. Does yours look like it? All right, so the next fold is pretty easy. Remember how we had this whole colored section that went across here? You can see part of it right here. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna fold this part up, the top flap here. I'm just gonna fold that up just like so, so it kind of lines up with where the colored part was underneath it. So you can see how this looks. Yes, there will be a small extra triangle that pokes up here, and that is completely normal and correct. So all I did was I took this bottom left corner and I just folded that part up. So now we have a straight horizontal line going across. And guess what we're gonna do again? We're gonna go for that symmetry, take that back one, and again, just fold it back so it's even with the one in the front. Crease it nicely. If you wanna look at it and see if it's lined up correctly, you can flip it over to do this. So this is what it looks like on the side after I flipped it over. It still needs to have that little white part poking up, so you may want to just double check yourself. If it didn't get incorporated into that fold, you may need to go back and refold it on the back. This is the back side. And this is where we were on the front. Back, front. All right, now for our next step, we're going to be doing something that's kind of like a squash fold. I highly recommend that you watch me the first time, try it with me the second time, and if it's still not working, try it with me the third time. So here's where the magic happens with our little finger puppet werewolf head. So what we're going to be doing is this pocket down here. We're going to kind of open that pocket up, but don't rip it, so be careful. And then we're going to flip it over and we're going to push this colored part inside. So you're just kind of pulling these parts apart, and then you're going to be pushing this in. And when you crease it on this side, you can see how you now have two big ears, the little puff, side, little hairs that you see on a wolf head. And then here's his mouth. And you can crease these down. And when I put my fingers in them like this, I can make a woo, woo, howl, bark, whatever. If you missed it, that's okay. I'm gonna show it again. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull these apart a little bit. You're gonna push this part inward in the middle here. And then I just sort of crease it so it stays put. But you know, you can really fiddle with these and make them look prettier. So see, I moved that one back and I think that looks better now. And then I kind of just crease these backwards to make them stand up for his ears. And these are his little tufts underneath his cheeks. And you can put your finger in there and you can make them move. If you want to be fancy, you can go ahead and grab a marker and you can add some details to them if you'd like. So you can see here how I added some teeth inside of his mouth and some eyes, and I added a little fur in his hair. But you can even be creative and put polka dots on them or whatever colors you like. Hope you enjoy.